नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयत्मुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। जन्माद्यस्य यतन्वयादितरतश्चार्तेष्वभिघ्नस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदयादिकवये मूयन्ति यत्सूरया तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि धर्मः प्रोजितकैतवत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापोत्रयन्मूलनं श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनि कृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृदयवृद्ध अत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तकशनः निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुका। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्नीति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। नित्यानन्दमहं नौमि सर्वानन्दकरं फलं हरिनामामृतं देवम् अवधूताशिरोमणिम् आनन्दलीलामय विग्रहाय हेमाम्बदिव्यछविसुन्दराय तस्मै महाप्रेमरसाप्रदाय चैतन्यचन्द्राय नमो नमस्ते। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So we are going to discuss today in the morning and the evening session about the life, one of the chapters from the life of Citraketu Maharaj. We're going to discuss about Mother Parvati curses Citraketu Maharaj. So Amrish Maharaj I did in Cologne. Oh, nobody told you?
I was receiving from
Acha.
but it's all good. It's all good.
Okay.
We are now actually in the Veda Suva chapter.
Yes. So we are. Yes, please forgive me, Prabhuji. I think Vrindaranya Prabhu told me to inform you, but I had no. I did not have your contact number, so please forgive me for that. So we're going to discuss about life of Citraketu Maharaj, and especially that incident. We're going to go in detail, wherein Mother Parvati curses Citraketu Maharaj, and why did she curse, and what was his reaction. So all these things these are very useful things to be discussed in our life, because we also go through similar situations every day. uh, it's not easy, because Chitraketu Maharaj saw Lord Shiva, he developed a perception, and Parvati Mataji understood Chitraketu's behavior in a certain way, and she cursed him. So all these things we need to go in little detailed. So first of all, I want to thank that I'm coming here after 3-4 years back under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, and I'm very happy to see my friend Gaur Hari Prabhu after a long time. Hare Krishna. So, so as we know, the life of Maharaj Chitraketu, Chitraketu Maharaj, uh, he was the king, and he had not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but he had 1 crore wives. It is said in the scriptures like that. And the most unusual thing was that he did not have a child from any one of them. So Chitraketu Maharaj was always eager to have a child, and he wanted to change his fate. Uh, it was that there was no child to be in his fate, but he wanted to change that fate, and he was always lamenting for that. And one fine day, Angira Rishi, he happened to come to his place, and seeing him very sad and morose, the king of the whole world, who is ruling the whole world, if he's sad, it doesn't look good. So Angira Rishi wanted to pacify him and asked him what is the problem, and he confessed that he is sad because of he has no child. So Angira Rishi blessed him. Okay, you'll have a child. But he said that this will give you happiness also, and this will give you lamentation also. Chitraketu Maharaj was happy for some time, but when the child was born from his first wife, all the other wives became very envious. And they formed a plan, and they decided to kill this first child. So they poisoned the boy, and the boy died. And then all the lamentations, all the crying started in the life of Chitraketu Maharaj. And Angira Muni was waiting for these things to happen because he knew what is going to happen. So this time Angira Muni brought a very special person with him. He brought his divine grace Narad Muni with him, because he knew that I need help of Narad Muni now to convince. He is an acharya for convincing people into science of Krishna consciousness. So Angira Muni comes with Narad Muni, and Chitraketu Maharaj was not able to recognize them because of his lamentation, because of his crying. Narad Muni has a very interesting way of preaching. Like when he was preaching to Prachin Barhi, Prachin Barhi was a person who was absorbed in karma kanda activities. So when he preached to Prachin Barhi, what did he do? He showed him in the sky all those animals which he had killed, and he told him that, look, they're all people, these all animals are waiting for you. As soon as you die, they're going to pounce on you, going to eat you up. So you decide what you want to do. And he says, okay, please show me the path to escape from this. So then Narad Muni talks about the science of Krishna consciousness, where he discusses about Puranjana. And Prachin Bari realizes, oh, okay, he becomes a devotee. So here also, Chitraketu Maharaj, the best way to convince Chitraketu Maharaj was what? Because all those instructions which Narad Muni or Angira Muni could have given could have fallen on the deaf ears, because Chitraketu Maharaj was in separation from his child, dead child. So Narad Muni, what did he do? He brought the dead son back to life, and he told him, okay, you speak. So Narad Muni actually did not say anything. All the understanding about the Jivatma, and his transmigration of the 84 lakh species was given by that dead child. He got back to life, Jiva Uchuhu. In the Bhagavatam, the entire Bhagavatam, only this is the only place where it is said Jiva Uchuhu, Jivatma. Jiva is saying, and and he said that what did the child say? The child is saying that the living entity is eternal. He has neither birth nor death. And according to reactions of one's fruitive activities, one takes birth in various species of life, like in the birds, in the beasts, in the trees, in the human beings, demigod, and so on. And thus he rotates from one body to another. That dead boy is saying all these things. Their attachment, Citraketu Maharaj and his wife's attachment was in the in that boy. And he was died, so they were lamenting. So this boy started to speak about the science of Krishna consciousness. And the boy is saying that for a certain period of time, one receives a particular type of body as a son or a father in the false relationships. And all our relationships in the material world, with the friends, with the relatives, with the enemies, consist of duality in which one gets happiness and one also gets distress. So it's a kind of, we are an illusory world. And the living entity is actually spiritual, and it is a part and parcel of Supreme Lord. So I have gotten previously as well parents. So which one are you? Previously also have gotten parents, and I was on my path to getting another. So which one are you? I don't know. I have got so many parents. So whom are you lamenting for? So after hearing the instructions of this dead child, Citraketu Maharaj and his wife could understand the relationships, all the relationships in the material world are causes of misery. So all the queens also who actually poisoned the child, they also confessed, and they were also ashamed, and they atoned for killing the child, and they gave up their aspiration for having sons. So Narad Muni chanted the prayers to Lord Narayana, Supreme Lord Narayana, and initiated Citraketu Maharaj in a Sankarshana mantra. And this mantra was so powerful, especially mantra. We can get mantra in Srimad Bhagavatam also. There are so many various types of prayers, mantras in Srimad Bhagavatam. But unless it comes from the lips of a pure devotee, it's not bona fide one sense. It won't work. It won't work unless it comes from the lips of a pure devotee. So Narad Muni initiated Citraketu Maharaj in that mantra. And and after instructing Citraketu Maharaj, he returned to Brahmaloka, Narad Muni. And Citraketu Maharaj, following the instructions of Narad Muni, in 7 days and 7 nights, he got darshan of Lord Sankarshana. Lord Sankarshana managed, 24 hours literally, he was chanting the holy name. It was a holy name given by Narad Muni. And in the 7th day, this Citraketu Maharaj chanted the mantra. It is also called as Mahavidya. And in 1 week's time, he got the presence of Lord Sankarshana. And he was surrounded by the 4 Kumaras. And the Lord was very nicely dressed in a bluish garment with a helmet and ornaments of gold. And his face appeared to be very happy. And Citraketu Maharaj offered various prayers to Lord Sankarshana. And then Lord Sankarshana also instructed him in the science of devotional service. So this is the summary of what happened till the 16th chapter. And after this, what happened? After he got the darshan of Sankarshana, Citraketu Maharaj he offered his obeisances under the direction of where Lord Anantadev was there. And Citraketu Maharaj began to travel in the outer space. And he became the head of the Vidyadharas. He was promoted. He became the head of the Vidyadharas. So the life of Vidyadharas is traveling around, roaming and singing. But Citraketu Maharaj was singing the glories of the Lord. And all the great sages and all the saints in the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, Charanaloka, they all praised Citraketu Maharaj. And Citraketu Maharaj was a very powerful mystic yogi. And he wandered around the whole world, especially in the mountains of Sumeru, for millions of years. And with his bodily strength and senses free from deterioration, he was traveling within the valleys of the Sumeru mountain, and he was, with his mystic powers, he was enjoying his life. But although he was completely in the association of women around him, and he was enjoying all kinds of sense gratification, what he was doing is he was always glorifying the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they were singing the song, usually Vidyadharas, and they all sing the mundane songs, usually, in the heavenly planets. But here, Vidyadharas, here Citraketu Maharaj was engaging his entire team into singing the glories of the Lord always. So it is understood, we need to understand that Citraketu Maharaj was surrounded, although he was surrounded by a lot of opulence, Citraketu Maharaj did not forget whom? Citraketu Maharaj did not forget the Supreme Lord. He has received the darshan of the Supreme Lord, and uh, we have seen that in many places that one who is not contaminated by any material condition, who is a pure devotee engaged in chanting the glories of the Lord, should be understood as perfect. So Chitraketu Maharaj had received the darshan of the Lord, and he was spending his time, spending his life traveling around and singing the glories of the Lord and encouraging others as well to do that. So one fine day, one time, while Chitraketu Maharaj was traveling in the outer space on a very brilliantly effulgent plane, and this plane was given to him by Lord Vishnu himself. Huh? So everything was Mahaprasad of the Lord. His own life was the Mahaprasad of the Lord. Even the plane given to him was given by the Supreme Lord. So he saw, while he was traveling in the outer space, he happened to go over Kailash, and he saw a very interesting scene. He saw that Mahadev, Lord Shiva, was surrounded by siddhas and charanas. He was surrounded by so many great rishis, Narada, and so many. Even it is in some of the commentaries said even Brahma was sitting there. So Lord Shiva was sitting in an assembly of great saintly person. And what was he doing? He was embracing Parvati on his lap with his arm. So when Chitraketu Maharaj saw that, now we need to understand Chitraketu Maharaj was a good friend of Lord Shiva. Very good friend of Lord Shiva. So, and that's why Parvati did not know this. We should know that Chitraketu Maharaj and Lord Shiva shared a very good relationship. So Chitraketu laughed loudly and spoke, which was heard even by Parvati. Now, a friend can tease a friend. There are, Vishwanath Thakur says in this connection that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, why this incident happened where Chitraketu Maharaj chastised or was laughing or insulted Lord Shiva, why this happened? Vishwanath Thakur is saying, Bhakting Bhutim Harir Dattva Swa Vicheda Anubhutaye Devaya Shapena Vritrartham Nitvatam Swanike Ayam. So his Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying that Vishwanath Thakur is saying that Supreme Lord wanted to bring Chitraketu Maharaj to Vaikuntha as soon as possible. And the Lord's plan was that Chitraketu be cursed by Parvati to become Vritrasur, and in the next life he could easily attain the spiritual world. So there were many incidences in which a devotee acting as a demon had been brought to the kingdom of the God. We know Putana also. Putana, she came in contact with Krishna, and she was delivered from the cycle of birth and death, and she attained the very special Dhatri Gati in the spiritual world. So, for Parvati to be embraced by Lord Shiva was a natural, because they are husband and wife, and this was nothing extraordinary for Chitraketu to see, because husband and wife, they're embracing. What is the problem? They're in their own house. Some people are coming, but they're in their own house, and he was embracing his wife. So Chitraketu laughed loudly to see Lord Shiva in that situation. And even though he should not have done so, but eventually, he was cursed, and then that cursed helped him to attain perfection in life. Same was with Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj also cursed by Shringi to die in 7 days. And Parikshit Maharaj used this opportunity to perfect his existence. He heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami in the assembly of sages, and he perfected his life. So Chitraketu Maharaj, seeing the whole situation in Kailash, what is going on, he's saying, Esha Loka Guru Sakshat Dharma Vakta Shariram Aste Mukhya Sabhayam Vai Mithunadi Bhuyam Bhareya. So Chitraketu Maharaj is saying, Who is Lord Shiva? Who is this Mahadev? Mahadev is the master, spiritual master of the whole world. He is the best among all living entities. Right? Lord Shiva, without Lord Shiva's mercy, one cannot attain perfection. We need Lord Shiva's grace. He is a Vaishnava Vathashambhu, one of the topmost devotees in this planet. And he is actually one of the acharyas of he's one of the acharyas of Bhagavad Dharma. And yet, how wonderful is it that he is embracing wife Parvati, amongst where he is sitting in the assembly of sages, and there he is doing this act. So, Citraketu Maharaj is saying that this Lord Shiva, whose hair is matted on his head, has undergone severe austerities and severe penances. And Citraketu Maharaj is actually glorifying Lord Shiva. And he is the president in the assembly of the strict followers of Vedic principle. He himself, Lord Shiva, is a very strict follower of Bhagavad Dharma. He is a very strict follower of all the Vedic principles. And he is seated with his wife on his lap in midst of all the saintly people. It doesn't look good. It is actually shameless, because if he was an ordinary man, it was fine. But if it is Lord Shiva, so I can't even call it as shameless because it is Lord Shiva. But Citraketu Maharaj is saying he was embracing her like an ordinary man could do. And that was not going well with Citraketu Maharaj. And Citraketu Maharaj is saying that ordinarily conditioned persons generally embrace the wives to enjoy their company in solitary places. So how wonderful is that Mahadevji, he's a great master of austerity. He knows that he is detached from his wife. He's not attached, he's only attached to Supreme Lord Sankarshana. Lord Shiva's Ishtadev also is Sankarshana. And Citraketu Maharaj's Ishtadev is also Sankarshana. So both of them, they are in one sense God brothers. So they have a good relationship. And so Lord Shiva is embracing his wife openly in the midst of assembly of the great saints. Why is he doing this? Lord Shiva is counted amongst the best of the yogis. Best of the yogis. And Citraketu appreciated how Lord Shiva is great and how Lord Shiva is actually unaffected by this situation. Saying Lord Shiva as a yogi, he is saying that although this is happening, but still Lord Shiva is perfect because he is not affected by all these things. So in one way, in one sense, Citraketu Maharaj is glorifying Lord Shiva. But now what is happening? Who is listening to all these things? The great sages are listening there. Shiva is listening. Parvati is also listening. So Parvati is getting little affected by all these things. She was not able to digest Citraketu Maharaja's words. So after hearing Citraketu Maharaja's statement, now we need to understand the reactions of all the people sitting there. Lord Shiva, the most powerful personality, whose knowledge is fathomless, he simply smiles. Lord Shiva doesn't react to the words of Citraketu Maharaj. He simply smiles and he remains silent. And all the members there, Narad, Ityadi, and all the rishis, great sages there, they also remain silent. Interesting, right? Citraketu Maharaj is speaking. Usually, when a devotee is insulted, if someone like Lord Shiva is being insulted, then we know what has happened in Daksha Prajapati's yajna, right? Lord Shiva was insulted by Daksha Prajapati. Now, Daksha Prajapati was a father-in-law of Lord Shiva. He never wanted to give his daughter to Lord Shiva. Never wanted to give. But somehow Brahmaji forced him that Lord Shiva is the appropriate husband for your daughter. So give it. And so he agreed. And Daksha always wanted that Lord Shiva should respect him. He should give him special respect. And it was natural. Daksha was like his father or father-in-law. He was father-in-law, but he wanted he should give him special respect. But Lord Shiva was offering respects within his heart, within his mind. So once Daksha organized a very big sacrifice for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. And there Brahmaji was there, Lord Shiva came, all the demigods came, and Daksha Prajapati, he entered the sacrifice arena, and he was effulgent, he was glowing like a sun. And when he came there, everybody stood up except Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. So Brahmaji did not stood up, that's fine, he's Brahmaji. But Lord Shiva did not get up. That was an insult to Daksha Prajapati. And Daksha Prajapati, understanding that understanding this is an insult, what did he do? He started chastising, starting to say good words for Lord Shiva. And there he actually insulted Lord Shiva. And the reaction was that there was a fight it ended up in a fight between the associates of Lord Shiva and the Brahmanas there. And we all know what happened. Virabhadra was manifested and Virabhadra cut off the head. And definitely this Sati also left the body and all this. So all these things happened. Now Citraketu's purpose in criticizing Lord Shiva is somewhat mysterious and cannot be understood by common people. Srila Prabhupada writes. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, however, has made some observations. What are his observations? Lord Shiva, being the most exalted Vaishnava and one of the most powerful demigods, is able to do anything he desires. And although he was externally exhibiting the behavior of a common man and not following the etiquette, but such actions cannot diminish his exalted position. So the difficulty is that common man seeing Lord Shiva's behavior might follow his example. That is the problem. Citraketu Maharaja is affected because of this, because he's a leader, he's an acharya, and people might imitate him, people might follow him. So for that reason, actually Citraketu Maharaj was actually indicating to Lord Shiva, stop this. What are you doing? People, you have so many followers all over the world, and they will imitate you. Already there is a big chaos amongst the demons because they're all following you and doing all the Kaitab dharmas are been followed in your name. All the Kaitab dharmas are followed in Lord Shiva's name. All the sadhus that drink ganjas and everything, and they say, oh, Lord Shiva is drinking, so we are also drinking. So all these things are already going on. And Citraketu Maharaj is indicating, Lord Shiva, don't do it. It doesn't suit you. And that was a friendly gesture what Citraketu Maharaj did. Citraketu Maharaj indicated to his friend, don't do it. Because people are, you're a great devotee, you're a follower, you have so many followers, they will imitate you. So Lord Shiva, who is deep in knowledge, he could understand Citraketu Maharaj's purpose. Lord Shiva was able to understand what was Citraketu Maharaj indicating. And therefore, he was not at all angry. Now we have seen Lord Shiva getting angry at many occasions, right? Like when Bhrigu Muni went to Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva did not Bhrigu Muni did not was there to test Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva, he went and made an attempt to embrace Bhrigu Muni. And Bhrigu Muni said, hey, you go away. You don't take a bath. You always sit in the smashan. You're always sitting in, you always have snakes around you. You always have all the ashes around you. Why should you hug a Brahmana? And Lord Shiva was actually angry there. And he took his trident and he was about to kill Bhrigu Muni. But then Parvati said and stopped him. So Lord Shiva, here in this scenario, he simply smiled and remained silent. The members of the assembly surrounding Lord Shiva could also understand Citraketu's purpose. Because what was Citraketu's purpose, even they were able to understand. And consequently, following the behavior of Lord Shiva, they also did not protest. They also remained silent. And so if the members of the assembly thought that Citraketu has blasphemed Lord Shiva, they could have said something. But they did not. They all remained silent. Now let's see further what happens. Now, uh, but these statements were not at all pleasing to Mother Parvati. And she became angry. Everybody was silent. Husband is silent. All the sages are silent. She should also know the Maryada. Parvati also should have known the Maryada. Maryada means etiquette. That husband, Lord Shiva, the glorious husband, is silent. He wanted, he also could have chastised Citraketu. And all the sages there, elevated sages, they are silent. So she should also have kept silent, but she spoke. She spoke and she became angry and she said, Citraketu, since Citraketu, he's thinking that he is better than Lord Shiva. He's more powerful than Lord Shiva in controlling the senses. So Citraketu Maharaj, Mother Parvati was angry at Citraketu. So, although Citraketu never insulted Lord Shiva, he should have not criticized, in one sense, he should not criticize the Lord because Parvati was there and he got affected. But even though the Lord was transgressing social custom, still Lord Shiva was glorious. And so one shall not find faults with the sun. If you see, now we are seeing the vision of through the angle of Parvati. Parvati was what she thinking? Parvati was thinking that Citraketu Maharaj should not find fault with Lord Shiva. Although although Lord Shiva is a great personality and he is doing some activities which are not generally to be done, but because it's Lord Shiva, he is a powerful personality, he should not be at fault. So, for example, one should not find fault with sun, although it evaporates even the urine on the street, right? So, the most powerful cannot be criticized by an ordinary man. If we try to criticize special personalities, then we will be in trouble. We need to understand that. So, Citraketu should have known that Lord Shiva was sitting with Parvati, and Parvati was not was not able to take it properly. So the difficulty was that Citraketu have become a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. And Parvati was thinking that Citraketu has become puffed up. Parvati was thinking that Citraketu had become puffed up, he has become proud of attaining the lotus feet of Lord Sankarshana. And therefore he's criticizing Lord Shiva. Now, and Parvati was thinking that he should be Tranadapi Suni Chena Taroriva Sayushna Manina Manadena Kirtanya Sadahari. He should have been like that. But here is criticizing. A Vaishnava should not try to minimize anyone else's position. It's very important. As a devotees, I was giving an example yesterday in Cologne that we should not, when we see sometimes people who are not devotees, we try to criticize them. Oh, they are in Maya, this and that. But we are devotees. We are this and that. We are a superior position. So a Vaishnava shall not try to minimize anyone's position. It is better to remain meek and humble and to chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Parvati was thinking that Citraketu is thinking himself as a better controller of the senses than Lord Shiva. So, and keeping all these considerations made Parvati very angry. So, what Parvati is going to say to Lord Shiva, Lord Citraketu Maharaj, she is saying that nowadays, these upstarts have started flourishing. They have received a post from the Supreme Lord, and these shameless people are trying to criticize the glorious devotees of the Lord. So she was saying that he has been appointed as a ruler, he has been appointed as a king of the Vidyadharas, but he is thinking himself that he is Yamaraj, and he is thinking that he can correct everybody and anybody. And Citraketu is thinking that he is the master of everyone. So Parvati is saying, he's saying that na veda dharma khila padma yoni, na veda dharmam khila padma yonir, na brahma putra bhrugunardadya, na vai kumara kapilo manushya, yeno nishadanta ati virandam haram. What is he saying? That Lord Brahma is sitting here, he is not saying anything. Huh? And Lord Brahma is directly coming from the navel of the Supreme Lord, and he is here and he is not saying anything. The great saints like Bhrigu Muni are not saying anything. The great saints like Narada are not saying anything. Four Kumaras are not saying anything. Manu and Kapila are not saying anything. That means these all personalities were there. And I suppose to be that this person is thinking himself as the supreme guru of all of them, and is trying to criticize Lord Shiva. So this was Parvati's understanding. And Parvati is saying that this Citraketu is the lowest of the Kshatriyas. And he has actually overridden the orders of, overridden Brahma, overridden demigods, overridden everybody. So Lord Shiva is personified religion and is the spiritual master of everyone. How can Citraketu Maharaj commit such an offense to Lord Shiva? So Citraketu Maharaj is considering himself as the best, as a topmost Vaishnava, and he is trying to criticize and find faults, and he does not deserve to be at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. Citraketu Maharaj is saying, Parvati is saying, he does not deserve to attend Vaikuntha. He does not deserve to be worshipped by all the saintly people. He doesn't deserve to be respected. He is fit to be punished. And saying this, Parvati actually cursed Citraketu that he will have to be born in the lowest of the Asura families, and he'll be because of this offense committed to Lord Shiva, he has to be born in the lowest of the families and take birth as an Asura. So this is the curse which is given by Mother Parvati. So how did Citraketu Maharaj react to this curse? That we will see in the evening. But it is very important lesson for us to understand that how careful we should be. Even amongst the devotees, we have friends, but saying insulting someone, or offending someone, criticizing someone in public, it is not good. Otherwise, we definitely will get punished by that. Here, Citraketu Maharaj and Lord Shiva were friends, and uh, and Citraketu Maharaj was jokingly trying to correct his friend Lord Shiva, and this was understood by the sages present there, but Parvati could not understand. So even if our intentions might be correct, and we might be friends with some Vaishnavas and trying to correct them, but if any one of the Vaishnavas there get insulted or offended, and if they cursed you from their heart, then that will become an obstruction in our bhakti. So this is what happened here. Parvati, she did not, all these things did not go well with her, and she cursed Chitraketu Maharaj. So although this was will of the Lord, but still there is a lot of things to be learned from this incident. So how did Chitraketu Maharaj react to this? We'll discuss it in the evening. Hare Krishna. If any questions are there, can be asked.
Ask the first. It seems that even sometimes when we are trying to act properly and trying to do our best, there will always be people who are not happy with us, and it seems it's just almost impossible to not get those bad vibration from people. Would you like to comment on that? Is that the case, or should we act in a way that everyone will love us, or how to do
Actually, it is not possible to satisfy each and everyone, but such things can be avoided. At least publicly, sometimes we become so vocal that we talk some things very publicly, including me. Even I am sometimes like that when I get. But we have to learn this that we have to be very very careful, especially staying in a devotee community. Sometimes situations become so that we just talk about each other on the back, and it just goes on. Everybody talks each other in the within the back, and it just goes on, and this atmosphere becomes so uh, you know uh, ugly, becomes very difficult, especially staying in a community. So we have to be very very careful. That's why although this way Chitraketu Maharaj insulting Lord Shiva in public, such things should be definitely avoided. It can be avoided, and then otherwise we will get reactions. So this is and definitely it is not possible to please each and everyone, but at least we should try to do our dharma to the best of our capacity. That can be done. One should know what is the Vaishnava dharma, and one should try his best to serve the devotees to the best of capacity. If the devotee is selfless and is genuinely serving, and then the Lord is residing in the hearts of each and every living entity, so the Lord will make sure that uh, that the sincere devotee has been understood properly. There might be some disturbances, but gradually the Lord will inspire them to understand that the devotee is sincere. Mm. Only Lord can help us, nobody else. Otherwise, in this world, it's very difficult to please everybody and anybody. But if the Lord wants, He can inspire others that that they understand our mood, that we are sincerely and genuinely trying to serve. Yes, Mataji.
Krishna, thank you. It's such a wonderful, pleasant points you said.
Yes.
I think it was everything is so connected. What Krishna makes arrangements, it's every day, it's like a red line, you know. Everything have a sense, you know. At the end you realize that why something happened, although in the middle of the situation you don't understand. But after Krishna shows you what
Yes.
he wants you to learn.
Yes.
I just have a situation now in the kitchen. Um, how you can misunderstand a person and take things personally. And that's a problem because we shouldn't. It's very difficult because everything it's very personal. Even Krishna is a person, right? Everything we need to see as a personal. But the thing is, sometimes, like what happened, what I want to say, what happened, that I the two people were talking. I was making something else. It was a service, like together. And I just want to say to a person, did you hear me? I want to say that I need something to explain in the service. But another person understand differently, and he said, "Why you are asking that if you we need to hear?" It was something else that another person misunderstands me, and because they talk about something totally, completely different what I asked for. So that person think that I talked to her, but I was talking with another person because I didn't turn. You see. And then conflicts comes on the surface when we take things, oh, it's me in the center, it's not Krishna anymore. That's I learned from that situation. And then the aparada came on the surface. Oh, that person is so, look what she or he, no matter the gender, said or did, because we put ourselves, oh, they misunderstand me. So I was just thinking how important it is to communicate, to clear it up.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts or
Yes.
what we want to say, communication skills.
Yes.
So therefore it's important that we have also seminars about how to deal with devotees, non-devotees, all entities, because that's
Yes. Chitraketu Maharaj also is going to clear his stand to Parvati. After the curse is given, Chitraketu Maharaj will clear his stand also. So, in simple words, actually, this situation where conflict arises doesn't arise just now. I mean, just immediately. It is getting piled up, piled up, piled up, and we don't recognize that somebody is getting affected by our dealings. Okay, and they also don't come and share with us that, look, I'm very unhappy with you. this and this has happened. So our dealings, especially because I'm also staying in a community now. At Govardhan, we have a small community of 50 devotees. So I am very much can relate to what you are saying as well. So communications has to be very very open. uh, if let's suppose you have something against anybody, it came a thought cross by, you should simply go and get the clarification. Because what happens, we don't clarify, and then we develop a perception for that particular devotee. Then again, next day, the devotee does the same thing. The perception increases. Then what happens? You have a perception now, you share your perception to another devotee, and that devotee also develops the same perception as you have for that devotee. And now this goes on and on and on. Hmm? And everybody starts looking you or that person in a different way. Hmm? So that's how the scenario changes. Actually, reality is something else. This is reality. This is perception. This is a real story, and this is how we look at the story. We make our perception. We don't understand the reality of the person. We actually make our own story on that. So instead of making our own story, just go to that person, understand the reality, and then clarify your situation. Finish it off. Otherwise, if you develop a perception for that particular person, you share your perception with your friend, she develops a perception for him in the same way, and it goes on and on and on. It is very simple that if before making a perception for anybody, so within staying in the community is not easy, but community is also essential. uh, Without sangha, how we can advance in bhakti? So we have to keep, like you yourself said, we have to keep communication very open. So go and get clarified the situation, share your heart with her, and it should.
And also one point I was thinking like that you respect the person. That's the first thing, that you see the good qualities.
Yes.
We have tendency to criticize
And there is a way to present things, first glorify, then improvement, and then glorify. So sandwich it nicely. Hmm? So share the good qualities, then you can share some points for improvement, and then again wind it up your talk with another uh, good good glories. So in this way, if we are very clear in communication, then the situation won't arise. And still, if they develop some perception, then what to do? We can't help. But from our side, we should be very clear. Always, we should not develop a perception for anybody. Just go and talk. Hare Krishna. Very good. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your lecture. I also wanted to ask, like we see in Braja Maharaja develop some kind of judgment,
Yeah.
rather, and we can see there is a lot also in our consciousness. Always we tend, if we see something just that is a little different, we tend to judge it. So
Yeah.
because when we start then to overthink on that, then it will come out in words, but it starts all from, if it will not be inside, it will not come out. So my thought was, if you can help us also how to, not to arrive to that even before, how to develop this kind of consciousness that we don't judge.
Actually, usually, when we are in managerial positions, so some position, some kind of position, then this tendency of judging others come. So, but or we consider ourselves as some superior than other Vaishnavas. That also leads us to judging others. But we should know that we are no one to judge. The Supreme Lord is the witnesser. It is witnessing everything, and we judging someone with our own perception and coming to conclusion, like Parvati did here. Like Parvati's example is that she did not understand the relationship between Lord Shiva and Citraketu, uh, but everybody else understood. But Parvati, she misjudged the whole thing, and she started chastising Citraketu Maharaj. So she started to judge Citraketu Maharaj on her understanding. Better was that she should have asked Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva, why is he doing like this? Instead of taking, she also insulted all the rishis sitting there. She also insulted Lord Shiva. She also insulted all the Narad, Brahma, everybody sitting there, and she took the control in her own hands and she cursed Citraketu. That was also wrong. So she judged Citraketu by his own way. That's why better is to when some misunderstanding, instead of judging, either we should go to that person or we should go to his authorities and put the thing in there. I understand that this situation is like this. Am I correct or am I wrong? And get it sorted, get it understood. I told you the same thing. We need to understand the reality of the situation, because a person, if you, let's say for suppose a person says does something. So now if a person does something, he might be having now why did he say that? We need to understand. We have to go to the root. Might be that he might be having some problem in the house, some difficulties in his life, something health is wrong, something is upset, and that is upsetting his mind, some bodily pain, something, and by which he said something or did something. So we just start judging people based on what he did immediately, but we forget all his services, all what he has done. So that also need to be judged. That also needs to be understood, that a person has done something wrong now, but he has served the community for such good amount of time. So all these things needs also to be considered. And if that person has done some mistake, then we should go and sit down with him peacefully. What happened? Why were you angry? What made you angry? What were you really angry? Because sometimes you just say it and then we just regret. That person also regrets it, saying that. So we just have to go. Let sometime me and Adoksha also fight. But we are very good friends inside. He needs some help and I couldn't. He wants to meet me and I couldn't. I don't have time to see him. So he gets very upset sometimes. He comes to my home and I'm not available. I'm in my service, so he gets upset sometimes. And sometimes we have the biggest of the fights, and people around us think, oh my god, their relationship is finished. But no, we just we next day we are very happily meeting each and greeting each other, because he understands me, I understand him. And we just clarify each other the situation. So that because I understand his situation, he knows my situation. I don't judge him just on that particular situation. I see his overall things, what is going on in Adoksha's life, why he's saying that, why he might have said that. So everything has to be understood. So then I go and ask him, so what's happening? What's happening this morning? Why were you upset? And then he says, and he asked me, what's going wrong, Braja Sundara? Why are you upset the whole day? Are you something is wrong? Something is wrong? Some financial crunch? What's going on? So we need to understand that understanding, that friendship has to be there. And instead of judging, we should not try to judge people, but try to go and understand their situation, and that will help us to understand the reality, and we'll stop building perceptions over the reality. So this is how we have to change our behavior. We have to come, instead of becoming taking a superior position, we should try to become friends with all, and try to help them. Always a helping attitude should be there, and that will change the scenario. Hari Hari. It's very difficult questions to answer. Hare Krishna.
So, this is the usual situation in all communities, everywhere it's happening.
Yeah.
Two friends joking to each other,
Hmm.
and the audience, it gets influenced.
Yes.
It's very difficult.
Yes.
And
That's what is happening here.
yeah, also.
Citraketu Maharaja and Lord Shiva, they're joking with each other.
Yeah. And how, what is the problem? Is it problem of these two people? Because
Yeah.
they do that openly,
Yes.
and also the audience. Where is the problem?
Audience had no problem because they knew the friendship. but not everybody, but someone will get affected.
Like Mother Parvati now.
Yeah.
And this is a problem now from
one person from audience who cannot understand that.
Yes, and he will start bad mouthing things. He will start spreading the words. He'll start saying ill about people. So yeah.
And what is the lesson now? Should we be friendly only, or we can joke to each other openly? Or how it should
Be in the like-minded. If you're in, we should be very careful how we are dealing with even with our friends in public, and especially in the Vaishnava community when not everybody is like-minded. Hmm. So here Parvati was not like-minded. Everybody else was, because that's everybody else was fine. That's fine. Hmm. But Parvati was not. So we have to be very careful. There will be people like that who are not like-minded, and they will not like what you're doing, what you're saying, and they will understand you in a different way, and they will criticize you, and they will even go and say around that this person is doing this, and they will also badmouth you. So this will go on. So it's better that we are careful. Even two friends are talking to each other, they have to be very careful. Because otherwise, in public, be careful. That is only learning.
public can understand that as familiarity,
Yeah.
not as a friendship.
Yes. And this might affect the friendship also. So much talks go around, the friendship between the two Vaishnavas get affected. So much talks go around, people so much talk about it, the friendship gets affected. Even the two best of the friends might be affected, and they might actually start fighting. This also happens. This also happens. Experience, Baba. Experience. Okay. Let's try to understand Citraketu Maharaja's, how Citraketu Maharaj took it. That's very important. How did Citraketu Maharaj take this? I mean, somebody just comes and curses you. You will become a demon in the next birth now. Mataji, somebody comes and tells you that. How will you deal? So let's see in the evening how Citraketu deal. Then we can say to our scenario. Hmm? So Hare Krishna, evening class at 4:30.
Yeah, lecture at 4:30 this evening, and just a short comment also is so Goswami will arrive around 3:30, so if you are around, you can also be there to welcome him at his arrival, and seminar 4:30.
हरि हरि ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, श्रील प्रभुपाद की,